Hello, everybody. Welcome to Let's Talk Football. My name is John Halpert alongside Chris Palmer. Chris Palmer, how are we doing today?
We're doing all right. This is part 2 of our episode. For those who watched our previous episode about Damar Hamlin, this is the part 2 where we give our picks for this upcoming week.
Yes. So before we do, we highly encourage you to watch our previous video that was uploaded prior to this one about Damar Hamlin. It was a difficult conversation to have, but a very necessary one, if that. So, but we highly encourage you to watch that video. But if you're watching this one right now, we are here to give you our picks for Week 18.
That's right. We will just be giving our picks. We will not be discussing any games, just who we think is going to win this week.
So, with that being said, Chris Palmer, who you got? who you picking this week?
We're going to start calling this segment "Who You Got." It seems like the normal thing as to what we call this. So
we just look each other square in the face and go, like, "Who you got?"
So for Saturday, we have 2 games. So the first one is Kansas City and Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
Who you got?
I'm taking the Chiefs. The momentum, man. The Chiefs are a great team. I will say the Raiders fared very well against the 49ers last week.
With Jarrett Stidham, right?
With Jarrett Stidham, yes. But in the end, the Chiefs are just clearly the better team than the Raiders. So I'm going to go with Mahomes and Andy Reid to get it done in Vegas.
Yeah, I can't help but agree with you. Kansas City is the much better team. It's a complete and total outmatch. But, Jarrett Stidham might have a little pep in his step, maybe looking forward to next year.
Yeah.
But we will talk about the offseason with Derek Carr when we get there.
Yeah, we'll definitely discuss that as time goes on.
Tennessee and Jacksonville.
I'm taking the Jags. There are a lot of injured Titans heading into this game. And for all the injured Titans as well, and all the injured players, we wish you all a speedy recovery. But it seems that the Jags are on a very hot streak right now. They're getting hot at the right time. And the Titans are just kind of limping into this upcoming week. So I'm picking the Jags and Trevor Lawrence to make his debut in the playoffs.
Yeah, I want to see Trevor Lawrence debut in the playoffs. And for the Titans, again, just be safe. Everyone's hurting. This is your last game of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Just get through it and look for the draft, man. Just be safe this game.
Yeah, so these 2 games are on Saturday. Everything else, every other game that we're going to be picking is going to be played on Sunday. There is no Monday night. So let's go with the first Sunday game,
which is Baltimore versus Cincinnati.
Oh, God.
All division games.
Yeah, that's right. These are all divisional rival games. So there's going to be a lot of rivalries this week, but I'm going to take Cincy. I don't have faith in the Ravens. Don't get me wrong. I love the way our defense has been looking since we got Roquan Smith.
Yes.
But Tyler Huntley, like I said,
can't do it.
He's like the diet Lamar. I'm taking Cincy. Fuck the Bengals. I hate the Bengals, but they're just objectively they're just the better team.
Yeah, no, it hurts my soul to pick the Bengals on this one, but they are Super Bowl ready, and you guys can't get out of your own way.
No, absolutely not. We did lose to the Steelers last week, and that was a very, as we said before, very physical game, low-scoring game. And it kind of played out how exactly we thought it would.
Yeah. Moving on to the next game, which is Cleveland and Pittsburgh.
Oh, okay. I'm taking Pittsburgh. Yes. I think that they have a lot to play for, and the Steelers' playoff hopes are alive.
16% chance at this point in time for us to get into the playoffs. We need to win. New England needs to lose, and Miami needs to lose at this point in time, unless they consider the Bengals-Bills game a tie, in which case New England, it's win and you're in.
I believe that's what they're going to do.
Okay.
So for New England, it's win and you're in. And but the Steelers, they're still alive, but they just got to take care of business against the Browns first.
Yep. Moving on to Minnesota and Chicago.
Ooh, and this one's going to be in Chicago. It's going to be cold. It's going to be a very cold one in Chicago. I'm gonna take. Part of me says the Vikings, but honestly, I could see the Bears. I'm going to take the Vikings, but this is going to be close scoring.
I think I'm going to play devil's advocate here, and I'm going to go Chicago. I really have no inclination as to why. but I feel like the cold might get to Kirk Cousins a little bit.
Maybe.
I feel like them old bones might start shaking in the cold a little bit, man.
I will say this though. Shout out to Justin Jefferson. If
You're an animal.
If MVP is typically given to quarterbacks, I think that we should really have a strong consideration of, look, Justin Jefferson is playing his
He's having an MVP year.
a MVP caliber year. And so although we think of the MVP as a quarterback award, let's look at it out of it for all the different players. And Justin Jefferson, man, he's playing on a whole nother level, man.
Yeah,
so
he's 100% playing an MVP style. And when it comes to MVP, people really try to make it statistical. You need to look at impact on the team and what would happen as a detriment if they were to wind up not playing. If the Vikings were to lose Justin Jefferson, they would be deflated. There would be nothing left of Minnesota.
they would be a shell of
They
themselves.
would be half of what they could be.
Yeah.
Ultimately, they would be half of what they could be minus one player.
Yep.
So that is the highest value of player that I can find.
Absolutely. So I'm taking the Vikings. You're taking the Bears.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
New England and Buffalo. I have to go Buffalo on this.
I'm going to go Buffalo as well. I think after what happened on Monday night, they're going to play so inspired that I kind of feel bad for New England because they have so much to play for. They're playing for their brother. They're not playing not just to win, but they're dedicating it to Damar Hamlin as they should. So I'm going to go Buffalo as well.
All right. Moving on to the Jets and Miami.
Ooh, this is
Miami, no Tua, no Teddy.
no Tua, no Teddy. They signed Mike Glennon as of today, as of
To
this
the practice squad.
recording. Man, I'm going to go with the Jets in an upset. I think the Jets can play spoiler. I'm sorry, T. If Tua was in, I would take Miami.
Any day.
But
Any day.
But Tua and Teddy are not going to be playing, so
Yeah, I feel like this might be another year that Miami takes themselves out of the playoffs.
which is very unfortunate because I do want to see Miami in the playoffs.
I want to see Tua in the playoffs.
I want to see Tua. I really wanted that Chiefs Dolphins matchup, man.
I would have liked it.
I would have loved it, but this is probably next year.
I feel like the Jets are going to play spoiler this week.
I mean, but Miami does have a chance to make it though.
Sure.
So their playoff chances are alive, but they're just not good.
Moving on to Tampa and Atlanta.
Give me Tampa. They're starting their starters. Brady's starting. So
So desperate. But I'm going to go Tampa.
I'm going Tampa.
So desperate to start your starters the last week of the season.
It's
Against the team that's eliminated.
well, you know what it is. It's the age-old conversation of do you rest or what's more valuable, rest or rhythm? And I think that it's hard because there's no right answer for either or. But I think that Todd Bowles and Tom Brady both feel that I think being on a huge win for them last week against Carolina, keep the rhythm.
Right.
And I think that that's very important, especially when you're the 4th seed, you have no bye week. You're probably going to play the Cowboys in 2 weeks' time. So get the rhythm. I'm taking Tampa.
All right. Moving on to Carolina and New Orleans.
Speaking of Carolina, man, it's unfortunate because they played great last week. Sam Darnold threw for over 340 yards. DJ Moore had a great game as well. And Panthers, they looked good. They looked really good last week, but obviously the Bucs were just better. I'm gonna take Carolina. I like what I saw last week, and honestly, I don't know what the future holds for Carolina in the offseason, but they are a team that I definitely want to discuss it when the offseason hits.
Yeah, hopefully they make some moves in the offseason. They can start going in the right direction. You know, last season in the beginning, we kind of saw glimpses of what we're seeing now, back end of the season. Now you need to put that together, and you need to put that throughout the season.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to go Carolina as well. They're more – it seems like they have a lot more angst to play versus New Orleans. New Orleans kind of rolled over this year.
Yeah.
You know, not having Sean Payton as a head coach, they kind of rolled over.
Jameis Winston getting hurt and all that. So
it was
it's
kind of a fold for them.
Yeah, so we're both taking Carolina.
Houston and Indy.
I'm taking Houston, actually. Indy just does not look good. Nick Foles got hurt last week, and that was a very scary sight to see as well.
Again, like outside looking in, it looked like he had a seizure on field.
That was scary, too.
But it was ruled a rib injury, which is weird. But
yeah, because he got tackled by Kayvon Thibodeau, and he was making snow angels next to Nick Foles. And
he's an idiot.
But that being said, the Colts, again, they're much like the Titans. They're very banged up.
Yes.
And as a team, they've underperformed this year on several occasions. I want to see where they head in this offseason, as well as Houston. I know Bryce Young said he's putting his name in the draft, so we might see
potential first overall.
But
and the idea of Bryce Young under Lovie Smith, I don't mind that.
You know what? I really love Lovie Smith as a head coach. He's a good guy. He's going to get his guys to play this week and play hard against a division rival.
Yeah. Arizona and San Francisco.
I'm taking San Fran. Their defense concerned me last week, giving up 34 points to the Raiders. Obviously, Devontae Adams, Josh Jacobs is Josh Jacobs. But still, to give up that many points
to Jarrett Stidham.
To Jarrett Stidham is very concerning. I'm going to take San Fran. Unfortunately for J.J. Watt, his last game will probably end in a loss, but we shall see.
Yeah, I'm going to go San Francisco as well. Arizona, again, that's the ultimate implosion of the year. Said that a couple weeks back when they wound up firing one of their coordinators in New Mexico, I believe it was, because he tried...
Mexico, not even New Mexico.
Right,
Mexico.
In Mexico,
yeah.
When I believe he tried to grab at a female on the bus or something. Tried to do something silly, and they wound up firing him immediately. But I'm going to go San Francisco. Arizona is in complete disarray. That's another team that I would like to pay attention to in the offseason to see what exactly they do.
Absolutely.
Dallas and Washington. Now, this game is a little bit more important.
The Giants game have huge impact, and the 49ers game.
And the Green Bay game.
Because theoretically, the Green Bay game as well, but theoretically, Philly, Dallas, and San Fran all have a chance to be the 1 seed and get that first round bye. Dallas, obviously, they have to win. Philly loses, and 49ers lose. 49ers, as we discussed, are probably going to win that game against Arizona. But if Philly loses to the Giants and Dallas takes care of business against Washington, then Dallas gets the division. And Philly drops to the 5th seed.
So they would run through Dallas. They would get the home game.
So for Dallas, I'm taking the Cowboys to take care of business because even though Washington is eliminated because they lost to the Browns last week, I'm taking Dallas to win this game because they still have a good reason to play and play hard.
Yeah.
And I like when Dallas is clicking on all levels, they're scary. They're very scary. But it's not necessarily who you play, but when you play them.
Right. And right now, Dallas is the team that you don't want to play. But, Washington, they were just recently eliminated. Ironically enough, Ron Rivera didn't even know that they were eliminated when they became, because it was while Green Bay was still playing their game. It was in a post-game conference that an analyst asked him how he felt about the potential of him being eliminated if Green Bay were to win. He had no recollection of it. So, that being said, now that they are eliminated, you could almost feel like they're going to play with nothing to lose and play just to be spoiler.
Yeah.
And Ron Rivera is very good at keeping his team very level-headed, focused, disciplined. Washington may be one of the most disciplined teams in the league, strictly when it comes to dumb penalties. The holdings, that'll happen, the pass interferences will happen. I'm talking about unsportsmanlike conducts, stuff like that. You don't really see that out of Washington. You don't see them let their tempers get the best of them. You don't let them see their emotions override what's supposed to happen, the game plan as to how that's going.
Mm-hmm.
But this game, I feel like they're going to come in with a chip on their shoulders and they're going to try and smack Dallas in the mouth.
Yeah.
But Dallas, I feel they could really put a whooping on them. So I feel Dallas is going to win this game as well. Moving on to L.A., the Rams, and Seattle.
So this game, despite it not having that enthusiasm for it, this is technically has playoff implications to it.
Yeah, for Seattle.
Seattle can make the wild card. They would need to win, and then the Lions would need to win in order for Seattle to get in.
Right.
So this game is important for Seattle, and I think that I'm going to take Seattle on this one because, again, they have a good reason to play for, and they've exceeded everyone's expectations this year, including our own. And I'll be the first to admit they exceeded my expectations right off the bat.
100%.
And I'm very happy to be wrong about that.
Yes.
But I'm going to take Seattle. I wouldn't mind seeing them in the playoffs, but it's out of their control. They just need to take care of business against the Rams. And the Rams, this was actually the worst season following a Super Bowl championship by any team. Yeah, which is crazy to think about.
Yeah, and again, that's the catalyst with that was also Matt Stafford with the spinal cord injury.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to go with Seattle as well. Geno Smith, 100% in my mind, he is comeback player of the year. He has had one of the best years as a quarterback that you could really have.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say he's an MVP caliber year, but very spot on stellar season by you, Geno Smith.
Absolutely.
If you don't make the playoffs, that's fine. There's always next year. And that's actually really fun to say about Geno Smith is that there's always next year.
And honestly, I wouldn't mind seeing him still in Seattle. And Seattle just kind
of like how he navigates that team.
Yeah. So him and Pete Carroll, they make a good pair.
Yeah. Now, really important game, Giants and Philly.
From the reports that it seems that the Giants are going to be resting majority of their starters. The Giants are already locked into that 6th seed because they can't even if they win this game, they can't surpass Dallas, and even if they lose, then that 7th seed is not going to overtake them. So they are pretty much locked into that 6th seed. So they're going to rest, and it's like we talked about with the Bucs, rest over rhythm. For the Bucs, it may be better to get that rhythm because they never really had it throughout the year,
right.
And they kind of found it against Carolina. But the Giants, they're going to go the opposite route and go rest, and they're going to rest most of their starters. So I'm going to take Philly because Philly has, again, a lot of reason to play for. If they lose this game, it's going to be a hard road to the Super Bowl if they lose this game.
Yeah. But as of today, it's becoming more and more apparent that Jalen Hurts is going to play this game.
Yeah.
He's expected to play. He's expected to return from a sprained shoulder. But he is still considered day to day. If Gardner Minshew leads them to a 3rd loss in a row, that's troublesome.
Yeah.
That's really troublesome. Because the idea is that Philly was good even without Jalen Hurts. 2 games later, it doesn't look like that, Papa.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But for this game in particular, I feel like with the Giants thing, I will go Philly. Hopefully, Gardner Minshew can lead them in the right direction if Hurts doesn't play.
Mm-hmm.
The Chargers and Denver.
Do I ask who you got? Because I think I know.
I'm going to go with the Chargers.
Yeah.
I'm
going to go with the Chargers.
I'm excited
as well.
to see the Chargers in the playoffs. I'm excited for that.
Yeah, Justin Herbert will make his playoff debut. They already clinched a playoff spot. A wild card instead of their division. But man, Denver, you got a lot of work to do in the offseason, man. But I'm taking the Chargers.
Eyes open for Denver in the offseason, man. What will they do with Russell Wilson is the big question.
Well, they got to make it work.
Gotta. And for the final game in what I think is going to be one of the most important games of the week, Detroit and Green Bay.
Yep. It's it's basically for the Packers, it's a win and you're in. For Detroit, they have to win, and Seattle needs to lose to the Rams. This is going to be the Sunday night primetime game. Of course, they're giving it to Aaron Rodgers, man, but honestly, I'm really happy that it's against this Lions team because we've been talking about the Lions very frequently this year, and they are a great team to watch.
They're fun.
They're a very fun team. I really like how they play under Dan Campbell. They play very tough. I really like what the Lions are, but I'm going to take the Packers this game because momentum is on their side, and the Lions are they're Jekyll and Hyde because when they're at home, they look like a juggernaut. But away, they look very mortal. If they played all 16 games on at home, they'd probably be one of the most fiercest teams. But obviously, they've got to go to the road in Green Bay. But this is going to be a fun game to watch. I'm taking the Packers.
I'm going to go again. I'm going to go devil's advocate, and I'm going to go with fucking Detroit, man. I feel like you put up 40 points last week.
But at home.
That's a lot of momentum to come off.
I know, yeah.
I understand, again, this is Detroit, so they are for some reason, they are a different beast at home. Maybe it's the arena, maybe it's the crowd, maybe they officially have the 12th, 13th man, 12th man, whatever it's called in Seattle. 12th man. Maybe they have it in Detroit now, but, man, you got to get it done. Green Bay is a hostile room.
Yep.
But I think Detroit can do it, man, and that would be such a smear to Aaron Rodgers. It'd feel great to watch.
Oh, it'd be great to watch.
All right, guys, there you have it. There's our picks for the week. Relatively short episode. Please, we implore you to watch the episode before this. It will be up a couple days before this one if you haven't watched already.
Mm-hmm. I will add the link in this description.
I don't think you got to do that. It would be right underneath. But,
well, for those of you who,
okay.
Yeah, but
please leave a like, comment, subscribe. Who you think is going to win? If you agree with us, disagree with us. We are excited for this week. Hopefully, it's a breath of fresh air. And we will be here next week. Thanks, guys.